Ang katawan po ng bawat organism are made up of cells. Yun po yung pinaka-simpleng structure po sa loob ng katawan ng tao. Okay? The cell. Ang cell po kailangan ng pagkain. Isa lang po ang nakakain yan. It's sugar. It's glucose actually. So, we're highly dependent on glucose. Huwag mong sabihin, Doktor, may glucose ako sa katawan, may sugar ako sa katawan. Paano na? Hindi po masama ang glucose. Glucose is okay. Maganda po ang glucose. Ang problema lang po, pag sobrang dami. Pero, may pero po tayo dyan. Okay din pong sobrang dami ng glucose sa katawan, sa blood vessels nyo, pero dapat po magamit nyo kaagad. Dapat pumasok po kaagad sa cell nyo.
In this film, we're going to explain how your body processes the food you eat in order to provide all your body cells with the energy they need. And also what happens when you have diabetes and this system doesn't work properly. When you eat food that contains carbohydrate, it's broken down in the stomach and digestive system into glucose, which is a type of sugar. We need glucose from food because that's what gives us energy. Carbohydrate-containing foods are things like starchy foods, sugary foods, milk and some dairy products, and fruit. This glucose then moves into the bloodstream, and the body detects that the blood glucose level is rising. In response to that, the pancreas, which is a little gland that sits just underneath the stomach, starts to release a hormone called insulin. And it's insulin that helps our body get the energy from the food we eat. The bloodstream then takes the glucose and the insulin to every cell in our body that needs it. To make this easier to understand, let's look at muscle cells. At the muscle cells, it's insulin that allows the glucose to get into the cells where it can be used for energy. It's a bit like insulin is a key unlocking the door to the cells so the glucose can get in. That way, the blood glucose level starts to drop. There are two main types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. In type 1 diabetes, the body isn't making any insulin at all. This is because of an autoimmune response whereby the body has destroyed the insulin-producing cells in the pancreas. We don't entirely know why that happens in some people and not in others. The carbohydrate-containing food is broken down into glucose as normal. That glucose then moves into the bloodstream. Normally, the body would produce insulin to let that glucose into the cells, but in type 1 diabetes, there is no insulin being produced, so the glucose can't get into the body cells at all. So the level of glucose in the blood rises and
Ano
rises.
po yung kadalasang sakit ng mga tao? Diabetes, hypertension, sakit sa kidney, sakit sa puso. Tama po. Yan po mga sakit po na yan, magpipinsan po yan. If you have one, it's more likely that you're gonna have the others. Magkaroon po kayo, for example, ng kidney disease, mamaya po magkakaroon po kayo heart disease, later on diabetes, later on hypertension. In any order po yun. Nagkaroon ka ng diabetes, later on sakit sa puso, later on sakit sa kidney. Okay? Yan po ang mahirap eh. Hindi niyo po pwedeng iwahiwalay ang mga yan.
Type 2 diabetes is a little more complex because there's slightly more processes at work. Either the body isn't producing quite enough insulin, or the insulin it is producing isn't working properly. That can be due to being overweight because a build-up of fat can stop insulin doing its job properly, but it can also happen in people of a healthy weight. So in type 2 diabetes, the carbohydrate-containing food is broken down into glucose in the stomach and digestive system as normal. That glucose then moves into the bloodstream. The pancreas starts to produce insulin, which moves with the glucose through the bloodstream to all the body cells which need glucose for energy. However, the glucose can't always get into the cells because the locks to the cell doors have become furred up with fat deposits. That means that the insulin can't open the cell doors properly. So the level of glucose in the blood continues to rise.
+90%. ang effect po ng Alveo sa diabetes. Sabi ko, 21% of the ingredients directed towards diabetes against the disease. And more than 90%, 93%, all in all po, diabetes plus the risk factors. Di ba po napakaganda nun? That's one important thing about Alveo po, no? Ang dami-dami pong healthy ingredients ng Alveo. But the problem is, karamihan po dyan wala sa Philippines. At karamihan din po dyan, hindi mo makikita on one country alone. Mag-iikot po kayo buong mundo para pagsama-samahin yan. My point is that what we have right now is a very good product. No? Ang maganda po kasi dito, with Alveo, years of studies po yan before nilabas sa market. And the exact formulation of each compound, of each ingredient, tamang-tama po para sa lahat po ng mga sakit po natin, not just diabetes.